challenge remained: to ensure benefit sharing once the user has left the provider country with the genetic resource. There was no international system that allowed the provider to keep track of what was happening with their resource abroad. With the Nagoya Protocol, which entered into force in 2014, this changed. The ABS Clearinghouse was established as the central hub to facilitate the necessary communication and information exchange between users, providers, and governments. The ABS Clearinghouse facilitates the monitoring of the utilization of a genetic resource once it leaves the provider country. The Nagoya Protocol sets up a system to inform the provider country on milestones related to the utilization of genetic resources abroad. However, to make this system work, every country needs to take action at the national level. Therefore, a country must establish at least one competent national authority, or CNA for short. The CNA issues a permit to grant access to genetic resources in accordance with domestic regulations. Key information from the permit must be transferred to the ABS Clearinghouse. The submitted information now constitutes the internationally recognized Certificate of Compliance. Now, let's turn our attention to a user. After possibly many years of laboratory work, she has succeeded in research and development and now puts a product on the market. With her certificate and the required documentation, she goes to the authority for market approval in her country. This authority, since it has been designated to act as checkpoint in the ABS process, sends a message called a checkpoint communiqué to the ABS Clearinghouse. The ABS Clearinghouse, having received the checkpoint communiqué, automatically informs the CNA in the provider country. This allows the competent national authority to compare the communiqué with the initial permit, domestic legislation, and with the contract documents. Action can now be taken by the CNA if the utilization was not in accordance with the initial agreement. Certainty for all parties is ensured through this process, no matter how much time has passed. Let's take a closer look at the key elements of this global system for monitoring the utilization of genetic resources. The CNA in a country is responsible for issuing a permit when access requirements are met and benefit sharing is agreed. When the information from the permit issued by the CNA is registered on the ABS Clearinghouse, it becomes the internationally recognized Certificate of Compliance, the central document to ensure legal certainty in the user country. The ABS Clearinghouse facilitates the exchange and flow of information with respect to the utilization of genetic resources. Furthermore, countries that have ratified the Nagoya Protocol are obliged to share information on their national ABS procedures in the ABS Clearinghouse. This information helps users to understand the particular ABS requirements of a given country. Checkpoints gather information from users on when and how genetic resources are being utilized in order to report back to the ABS Clearinghouse and thus inform the provider. Typical checkpoints are patent offices, funding institutions, publishers, market approval authorities, and other institutions dealing with innovation, product development, and commercialization. The checkpoint communiqué is a standard form for compiling the information gathered by the checkpoint in order to make it available to the ABS Clearinghouse and forward it to the provider. All countries have to put all these elements in place. Only when these elements are operating effectively will monitoring the use of genetic resources between countries be possible. This will contribute to increasing transparency and trust and result in more ABS agreements and partnerships, which in turn translate into advances in science, more innovation, products, and benefit sharing for users, providers, and the conservation of nature.
kichwa cha mwenzako. Usishukue shida zako, umbebeshe jirani yako. Muitie Mungu wako akusaidie. Usiwekele jirani yako shida zako akashindwa. Usimpeleke jirani yako kwenye shida, utamuua bure. Dunia tumeishi ni shida kila siku. Uwe na pesa usiwe una pesa, tunaishi shida kila siku. Tusiwane bure. Oh, mpaji ni Mungu. Usinisukume mimi, ni Mungu amenifanya jinsi nilivyo. Usiniuie bure, muulize Mungu kwa nini kanifanya jinsi nilivyo. Usiniue bure. Oh, mpaji ni Mungu. Usiniangamize bure. Oh, mpaji ni Mungu. Ngojea ya kwako inakuja, usijiwekelee mabaya. Ngojea ya kwako inakuja, siku yako hiyo njiani inakuja. Oh, usinisukume bure. Dunia kwa nini ni mbaya hivyo? Umenisukuma sana, nilinipa kila kitu.
Sometimes I really wonder why you take me as your son. Sometimes I really wonder why you call me by my name. I know you knew me kabla nikujue. I know you knew me kabla nizaliwe. So naomba Baba unikomboe nisimame imara. Naomba Baba unitumie niwe chombo chako. Tabadilisha nenendo yangu, usiniache na mwovu shetani. Baba, ukiniacha nitangamia. How many times do I have to suffer? Set me the agony malodo. Badilisha nenendo yangu, niwe kama wewe.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Karibuni sana. Thank you for being here on time. Wasn't yesterday wonderful? Really enjoyed it, with the community. Yes, so we'll be starting in a few minutes. I can see there's some deliberations happening over here. We'll allow that to continue. In the meantime, just to let you know, those of you that are going by SGR at 3 p.m., SGR 3 p.m.? Hands up. Anybody traveling by SGR at 3 p.m.? Oh, nobody. All right. Those who are traveling by SGR at 3 p.m., you are one. Huh? Pardon? Are you SGR 3 p.m.? Okay. SGR 3 p.m. We'll be leaving here at 12:40, so you'll have to have an earlier lunch. We'll leave here at 12:40. Those who are going with SGR at 3:30, no, sorry, not SGR, yes, SGR at 3 p.m., 12:40. Those of you that are going by air at 16:50, which is 4:50, we shall be leaving here at 2 p.m., and those flying at 6:50, we'll be leaving here at 3:30 p.m. using the NPI van. So please take the note. It is leaving 2.5 hours earlier than your flight. 2.5 hours earlier than your flight. So please make note. 16:50, which is 4 p.m. or 4:50 p.m. The bus will leave here. The van will leave here at 2 p.m. And those who are going at 6:50 or 18:50, the bus will leave here at 3:30 p.m. Thank you. SGR? No? Which one are you? Which flight are you? Huh? 8 p.m. SGR?
Tomorrow in the morning.
Or tomorrow in the morning? Or tomorrow morning, guys, I think the people will leave here at 6 a.m. Am I right? I need to find out from the ladies. The girls of tomorrow morning, I think I think it'll be here, but I'll find out about that. I don't know about tomorrow morning. I'm talking about today. I'll find out about tomorrow morning.
Anauliza mwanadamu jinsi ya kumtendea mwanadamu, basi mimi nisingekuwa jinsi nilivyo, hata tena nisingekuwa mahali nilipo. Ungeambiwa sifai, wangekukanya vikali, ungekumbushwa dhambi zangu za kale. Baba yoyo, unabariki unayependa, unabariki unavyopenda. Mimi nahitaji ndio yako Yesu tu, nahitaji ndio yako Yesu tu, ninataka ndio yako Yesu tu. Yesu ndio yako, ndio itanisimamisha, ndio yako itanifungulia milango. Hakuna sikio lenye funiko jamani, wala sijaona jicho lenye pazia. Adui zako wangelikuwa na uwezo, wangefumba macho, wangefunika masikio, wasikuone ukiwa juu, wasisikie umebarikiwa. Meza utaandaliwa mbele yao, utakula utakunywa mbele yao. Nasema ndio ya Bwana.
Unitilie dharau, mimi binadamu, umesahau. Unaishi kwa dhamani, naishi kwa imani. Mbele zako mimi sina haki, mbele zake mimi mwenye hadi. Fahamu kuwa Mola ni aliyeniumba mimi na wewe. Fahamu kuwa Mola ni aliyeniumba mimi na wewe. Mwanake
That's for dancing. Wait, you know I found out Lewa can dance. Professor, a doctor, where did you learn to dance like that? Hey, you dance very well. And by the way, if you've not yet bought his products, please buy. Me, I bought the rheumatic, what is it called? Ointment. I realized I'm growing old. When you go to a cold place and you start feeling, yo, magoti inakaa namna gani? Kumbe he has a rheumatic ointment. Those who are my age understand. Those of you who are younger have no clue what I'm talking about. It's okay. All right. So we'd like to have a quick rundown of recap of yesterday. I think it was Joyce Imenda who was supposed to do that. Am I right? Joyce, are you here? Joyce? Oh, you can give us a quick recap of yesterday. In fact, better still, ask people what they learned about yesterday rather than giving your point of view only. I know intellectuals like to give their point of view only, but it's good, I think. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a nice night. People are slow like me. Are you seeing people are slow? People are not coming on time. We are like half full today. We've been thinning off. Yeah. All right. So, Joyce, are you ready? You can do something? Good. Thank you. So Joyce will take us through a recap of the previous day, discussions and activities, and I think she's also going to ask you what you learned, just because I'm asking. And she is, she's from the National Environment Management Authority, which is NEMA, isn't it? You want to use that or not? You can use a microphone here if you want, but there is better. Yeah. Okay. Good. Excellent. I hope you're feeling like me. I'm feeling so tired. You're so fatigued, eh? It's a slow, we've been having, Anyway, let's have a bit of a discourse before we get into the next session, which is, we'll be going through recommendations and way forward. Karibu, Joyce Imende.
Good morning. Good morning. I think I'll ask Dr. Lewa if you have something to energize people, because it seems after the end of the week, people don't have any more energies. They are not concentrating. So look for something that can make people to be alert throughout. They don't lose their energies. Yesterday, I was a rapporteur for Theme 4, Shaping the Future of Indigenous Knowledge and Genetic Resource in Kenya, Empowering Young Champions for Culture. The topic was peeking into the world of indigenous knowledge, intellectual assets from the perspective of the young champions of culture. It was a great session, being chaired by Professor Nyamasio. He stepped out, and we had young, energetic men and women coming to give us their perspective on the matter of indigenous knowledge and intellectual aspects from where they are. And I'll just pick up the key points that came out. One of them was the formation of the youth champions that has been spearheaded by the Ministry of Culture, and currently we have 231 youths countrywide that are being modeled to be the champions of the IK and GR. And one of the punching words that came out is God gave everything and he said it's good during his creation. And what I can also say is when he created everything, he gave us the dominion to take charge. So as we sit here and everything is going into depletion, we should ask ourselves, who is going to bring it back? And if it's God, let's be alert that we will not be there. So if we were given that responsibility to take care of our environment, let's do it wholesomely, knowing that it is our mandate. And another thing that came out is we had youths giving their experiences in terms of how they're interacting with matters of indigenous knowledge and genetic resources at their respective counties. And one of the things that came out is the youth need to be empowered and inherit the skills. Indigenous knowledge is not static, so it needs to be, the youth need to be taken through the system and understand the issue of globalization. And I remember when one of the panelists who said, after going to school and all that, it was prestigious for you to eat sukuma and cabbage, until the health issues, when they stepped in, for them to realize that our African leafy vegetables were endowed with a lot of nutrients that we need to tap it in. We don't need to go through the same. We don't need to criminalize our culture, that it is shown that is either it is backward or it is not worth it. What we need is to package it in a proper way so that our youth can emulate it, our youth can associate with it. The youth have energy. They are energetic, they are versatile, they are the people who are into creativity, and they can incorporate. They are the ones who have the bridge between culture, tradition, and globalization. So if we put them on board, then we are sure that our culture is not going to be eroded. Another thing is we need to introduce cultural practices in schools, and I tend to think currently as a country that's where we are geared to. If there are younger parents here, the system of CBC, like I think the last term, the grade 3 ones were doing cultural foods. So it means that already we are putting our children on board. So it's a matter of maybe the system incorporating more and more of these things, so that we have a generation that will realize that it is part and parcel of our life, and we pass the information to them. We need to establish cultural centers at grassroots levels, because our young people do not have these cultural centers. There was a cry about lack of models. As we look back, we don't have models that are spearheading cultural issues at our respective communities. There is one who echoed and said that there are areas they cannot visit, or because of maybe cultural differences, and we tend to think we need to live in cohesiveness. The youth, they need these intercultural programs so that they can interact and understand what is happening in the west and the coast and in the Rift Valley and even in the northern part. Through this, they know that they are a family, and I remember the one who gave us the clip on the people who are singing about peace. If these children interact like this, then they'll promote peace in our communities. Another thing that was echoed is about mwacha mwila ni mtumwa. So if the elders are not respecting their own culture, how will the younger ones know about it? So we need to promote it. And the youth are calling for branding themselves so that they can come out strongly. They need subsidies on IK industry. They don't want to get the hitches, especially when they're coming up with innovative ideas, like the one who showed about the toothpaste from a tree. Then when it goes to cabs, it finds a lot of hitches. I know of the standards, they come with a cost. You'll find one standard is 11,000. How will our youth who are trying to come up be able to market such a product? So we need incentives to promote the product they have, and establishment of regional centers. They still need more workshops to empower them. In summary, I just say, opportunities for mentoring and intercultural dialogue in the creative industry have strengthened the professional and creative department of young people. So it means that as we sit here, we see how we can incorporate the young in the system so that they can bring in their energies. Transiting heritage values to young people favors intercultural understanding, respect for cultural diversity, and helps create an environment propitious to culture of peace. The youth can be the bridge between cultures and between tradition and modernity. The youth have the interest, energy, and passion to address issues and concerns such as heritage management, sustainable tourism, local development, and community involvement. They have the affinity for information and communication, technologies to network and transcend geographical positions. In summary, that's what I got from the whole talk yesterday.
Sante sana, Madam Joyce Imende. All right, so so the youth were very active, I can see. There was a lot of good stuff happening there. Quick question. How many of the youth are here? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. The ones 5, 6. Oh, you're sitting here, you moved there. All right, super. Do you agree, do you feel that you captured your talk nicely? Yeah? She did a good job. Okay, give a round of applause, please. Thank you very much. Now, yesterday afternoon, well, it was afternoon, yes, we had an excursion. It was a long trip. It has taken a toll on many of us. You missed it. And what I'd like to ask is, what did you learn yesterday? What can you tell us that you learned? For me, let me start off by myself. First of all, I learned that we have got very able administration, what do you call them? Ward administration. There was a very young lady gone up to university. She's now the ward administrator there. I found that she's called Saumu. Yes, Saumu. Very, very interesting. Now, that for me was an eye-opener. For you, maybe not, but for me it was. That was an eye-opener. Then I learned that Dr. Lewa has got many skills, including dancing. Hey, he was dancing for us yesterday. And he has got a whole pharmacy that he carries with him in a box. With remedies and maladies and those kind of things. And I bought some from him, so that was pretty exciting. And then the other thing I really enjoyed, because I was so hungry, was the orange ugali. Did you see that? Did you guys taste that in ugali? How many of you tasted that? It had dambala. Chakula dambala. Was it nice? It's because we were hungry. Is it because we were hungry? That was nice. It was actually nice. Now, you know my job. Oh, by the way, get that video ready. Get my video ready. So people can know who I am. We need to let them know. That's my usual job. I go around eating foods that are culturally not available on the shelf, but in the ground. You want to go with me next time? I come to your place. Yeah, I'm coming to your village. Yeah, give me some new stuff. So, yeah, I thought that was really, really exciting. And then what was that drink that we were given? How many of you drank that drink?
Honey with water.
Honey with water. What kind of honey was it? It was just normal honey. No, it was a honey from their local mzingas, isn't it? The local honey from there. Yeah. Did you like it? Had they put lemon in yours? No lemon. Okay, that is my new recipe. Add lemon. Oh, you didn't come. You missed. You missed.
Even a special treatment.
Yeah, and then how many of you saw them turi-turi? How many of you carried them turi-turi? You didn't carry. You didn't carry. I carried. You carried also, eh? What? Oh, good. Bring a microphone. Here's a.
But of course, I'm allowed.
Oops, sorry. Kwanza ndiye amenishika sasa. Huyu ni spokesman wao amenishika niko na mduriduri.
Okay, thank you so much. On behalf of our CC who is around with us, she's just in Mombasa, she wanted to appreciate everybody or everyone who was there. And of course, she's apologizing for the earlier disappointments which were experienced by some of us. I remember some of them have to pass all the way, I don't know, Malindi or get there. And they had to come back because the place could not be accessed quite easily. Now, she wanted us to share this experience based on her personal observation and not on scientific based. She has a feeling that yesterday, the traditional knowledge, especially on the Muturituri as a resource, was exposed yesterday, and she feels like it is in the public domain, and therefore it is not protected. And then number two, the seeds themselves. I'm sure some of them, some of us took them, and we are not so sure whether they're here or somewhere else. And she was trying to imagine that, like, for example, I have a colleague or my brother living in Tanzania or Uganda, where others are also there. And then very quickly, I go with the seeds together with the knowledge. And then because Tanzanians have a one-stop shop, things can be done very quickly.
Oh, I see.
Before the scientific validation.
You're giving me ideas. You're giving me ideas.
Already, those guys go very fast. And then
I see your point. Yeah.
So she says, like, how safe, how secure is our Mturituri and our traditional knowledge? Because that is the most important thing, and that is where we are here.
Okay.
So I think that one.
That's a good question.
Answered by maybe.
We have our lawyers here.
Yes, because tomorrow we will see this product in Tanzania, in Mombasa, as we still waiting for KEMRI or for the Institute of Parliament Investigation to give us the results, scientific validation. So that is her main concern.
That's a very, very valid concern. It's actually a very valid concern. I think within this group here, my brother, within this group, I don't think you need to worry. But the fact that it is not public, yes, that is something that needs to be thought about there. You want to answer that? I think my brother from Kipi would like to answer that. Because there is something to be thought. And then you also want to get involved in the same? Yeah. Okay. Let Bernard Stanley first talk, then I'll come to you.
Good. Thank you very much for that observation. The CS got it straight. In fact, after the whole exhibition, I looked for my teacher. You know, I still work with him, Professor Nyamasio. And I asked him, Prof, what danger do you see? He gave me 3 dangers, but because of time, I'll only share one related to what he said. He said, with my professional understanding, I can come out of this place and create a whole market. So I asked him then, Prof, what is the solution? Because I don't know if I'll get him again. He told me, where PIC is, there should be something added on non-disclosure. I raised my case.
Ah, okay, okay. And the lawyer would like to say something. I'll come back to you, young lady. For another microphone. Hey, we loud around it. But you're young, it's okay. Exercise is good. Actually, we should be exercising more than you.
Thank you, moderator. Beva is my name.
Beva?
Yes.
Ah, yes, I know you.
There is another angle, which, although I don't know how we look at it, our Muturituri, in the forest where it is, may, to some extent, not have the same effect if it is from another place.
Oh, I see.
Why? The soil composition, and this will be taught by our researchers. Composition might be contributing towards that effect.
I see.
Where the other composition might be slightly different, though the effect may not be the same.
I see. I
yes.
see. Okay, that's interesting.
So there are those parameters which may, but again,
there's still a danger of someone taking the seeds and going, and yeah.
There is a danger, and all what he has said, that should be our step number 1 here.
Okay.
Let's
non-disclosure.
One-stop shop first. The other issues are likely to be sorted immediately we have that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I have what's my name? Elpina, and then Hartmut. Oh, and even Kobai wants to say something. The lady first. We're going in order. But that's a very valid point. Thank you for bringing that up. I don't know much about the science, but thank you for bringing it up.
I think yesterday one of my greatest concerns was what what the CS has raised. And I told Dr. Taracha as well that these communities, and I'm speaking out to communities also sitting here, that we should be very careful what we disclose and who we allow and whom do we give this information. Even if we are coming in as government, there are certain things that they must classify as secret that you cannot share.
Classified, yeah.
Classified. So we need to, as Mbeva is saying, probably it's the climate. Those are things that we should not know. I saw researchers, we should not know, sincerely. If it's to showcase it without giving information. because the detriment is that once the information is out there and you give, you see we had investors, we have all manner of people who would probably just take it up, and I saw some researchers really asking questions.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really unfair.
Okay.
Even to the communities. And I think as a department, I think of culture, I don't know if they're here, they should sensitize those people, really. You're not obligated. I think in the African community, we are very kind. We share a lot of information. They should sit down and agree that wakiwa na wageni, there are certain things you say, and there are certain things you don't. You do not even tell people. That's the know-how. You don't tell us how you make the ugali, where, you know, they were showing us the fruit, everything. If,
but you see, for the ugali, for instance, my friend Wamboi has ordered enough unga for the next, I think, next meals, and I'm going to do the same. So they will benefit because I'm buying from them.
No problem, but I was even telling her we should look at value addition. Let us package, let us come up with a trademark, scale it up for them. Let it not just be something that we are, you know, even as locals, taking advantage of their naivety. And that's what I'm saying. Let's look at the whole IP structure and protect our indigenous knowledge.
My question, and it's to the lawyers, where does PIC start or end? And you know, doesn't PIC cover that? Or what is the other one, the other document that we signed?
Matt.
Matt.
For me, it depends on whether I want to use it or not. So that's why I'm saying you begin with classified. I could just be coming in to just experience what you have. But I would also be coming in as a prospector who wants to now use.
Yes,
so then that is when Peak and Matt would come in.
So there has to be a definition, a defining line.
That's what I'm saying. Let's just have clear cuts.
That's a good point. We're exposed then. This means we're exposed. You have actually raised a very big point. We're exposed. We're exposed. Hartmut, you're going to say something.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Well, when we were there, we also saw that there is already marketing of the traditional knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah, we saw these products of a company, I think it was from Kilifi, and I was thinking, is there anything coming back to the communities from that?
Oh, good question.
So some of us bought something. So I don't know. Is there pick and match from there? Because I think we really need to look into all angles. So we're discussing here about benefit sharing and discussing about, let's say, big international companies coming, but the experience show that the first who come to these places are, of course, nationals.
The locals, yeah.
Yeah, the locals, and they also try their luck and do marketing.
Okay, interesting point.
That's, I think we really need to look into that, and if there's no pick and match with that, it should be rectified, of course. Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Kobe, then Eric.
Okay. In fact, I'm taking up from what Dr. Hamut has just said. My worry was the community. I think they have not been given enough capacity to understand what PIC is and what mutually agreed terms are, and how are they going to benefit. And then when I heard that it is the county who are acting on behalf of the community, that worried me again, because do they know what the county is doing, and
COVID,
how is exposure, the level of information given to the community. So I will call upon the NPI and those who are working with the community to do a lot of capacity building, because they were so excited, even from the prayer, is they are seeing God has come to them, and that now miracles might happen.
Miracles will happen, yes. All of a sudden, their fortunes will change.
You could see they even don't know what happens.
Yeah, yeah.
So I will really, I was feeling for them, and I can really request even the county of Kilifi, plus the NBI and the rest, to really take the community through what MAT means, what PIC means, and what it means by signing these agreements. and how much.
Dr. Hassan is here. I think he needs to answer that. When you took us there, you already have interacted with these people. They know you by name. Isn't there some sort of protection that you're giving them for this eye care that they have? Dr. Hassan?
Have the mic. Initially, when we went to Kilifi, I think that was 2017, we had not developed this process of going through peak and all that. So we were just interested in the fact that there is a community at the coast that have got a product that could act as a contraceptive. So we had not taken them through the peak process. So when we came to Kilifi, that was last year, I think in November or December, when we came now to actually access natural products for use against COVID-19, that is when actually we took the whole community through the peak process. But I think maybe the people from Arabuko-Skoke did not attend that meeting in Kilifi.
Oh, okay, they missed that.
But the rest, I think if there are people from Kilifi here, they can attest to the fact that we had a meeting in Kilifi and we took them through the peak process. Okay. And we signed, actually. We signed the
You signed
peak,
that,
even
Does it protect them?
Well,
sufficiently? Or is it work in progress?
No, I think it's pretty comprehensive because it involves first of all, we had to create a platform through which you can access their genetic material.
Yeah.
And that meant we have a national organization. At the national level, it's the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Heritage who are involved in that. And then we come to the county where we involve the Ministry of Culture and Environment. You know, the ones who are now.
Yes.
And then at the community level, we ask them to form CBOs. And even if they have other organizations like the Kaya Elders and any community organization, so you now sign the peak with all these parties involved. And the county actually acts as a witness. The county legal officer comes, it is the county cultural officer and officer of environment who actually are signatories to the peak. But this is witnessed by the county legal officer.
Okay.
And the county legal officer actually in Kilifi gave us a very hard time, even though she was just supposed to be a witness, as long as the culture officer and the environment officer and the communities were willing to sign a peak for us to access their genetic material for testing, scientific validation against COVID-19. The lawyer, the legal officer of the county was actually very difficult. You can ask,
which was good of her because yes, it's the interest of her people.
I
mean, I can see your hand.
But you know, after you have been, she raised some issues and we tried to exhaustively explain. Nevertheless, she was adamant that she may not even, so we even thought of going to get another because the community was willing to
but she was looking out of for the interest.
She was acting like, you know, these materials were her personal, so we were even threatening to go and look for a lawyer in town. Anybody can witness, you know, any legal officer. So I'm sorry, when we initially went to Arabuko-Skoke, that was 2017. The peak and the MAT and all these ABS agreements had not been worked
done yet. Okay. Wow. Okay. Thank you very much, Eric. And then I go to Bonasiris Mageria.
Yesterday to me was like the 4 days training that we have had, but in practice. Because the legal gaps we identified during the sessions we had and issues around peak and MAT approach played yesterday. And the way we also do not graduate our approaches to communities also played yesterday. We went with the whole world to a local community that has a low awareness level, And unfortunately, they are government that is 9 years old, which we cannot say that they can competently be able to protect that particular community. And it was a training of 4 days, but practical. And that was what I appreciated yesterday.
Okay.
And that for that, I will share, because I had no opportunity to share for Turkana, I will share our approach, how there was, if you all know, for some of you Kenyans, I come from a community that we are hosting refugees. That is Kakuma. And when Dadaab was closing, Kakuma had also a potential of being closed. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the influx at that particular time was so high that we could not, there are persons of concern, we could not just chase them like, well, because their problem is not, any of us can potentially be a refugee. Because today your country is good, tomorrow it might go bad.
You need to be shorter, you need to be shorter.
So, no, there's something I want. So we told UNHCR we don't want another Kakuma refugee camp. So we want a socio-economic integrated settlement. And that's how Kalobeye socio-economic integrated settlement came into being. So we did not know anything about PIC. We did not know anything about math. But we took upon ourselves as professionals of that particular community to engage. So we had to come up with a questionnaire. We subjected the government, the national government. We subjected to interview. We subjected the county government concerned officers to interview. And then after that, we subjected UNHCR to interview and partners heads. And then after that, we went back to the community and disclosed to them that these are the interests of people. What do you say? Then people had to give their views. And based on their views, we put it together. Of course, they were guided. And then we came back to the people we had interviewed. We disclosed to them our findings. And then after they had some inputs and we could not accept some because of some legal issues and all that, because our committee had also legal experts.
Who is this that was doing the research?
It is us, the young people of the people of that community.
Oh, the young people of that community.
We took it upon ourselves.
Oh, I see.
We didn't want outsiders to dictate things to us.
Okay, go on.
And we wanted the approach to look like community-driven approach.
I see.
So that's how we secured terms of reference between us and the UNHCR, and also secured and how that Kalobeye settlement came into being. So,
what is the settlement called?
Kalobeye Integrated Socioeconomic Settlement.
Kalobeye.
Kalobeye. Yes. Kalobeye is just a place in Kakuma.
You see, but you guys are smart. I mean, okay, not smart, exposed, so that you are able to do that.
It's not about exposure. It's the suffering we had with the Kakuma refugees. So it was experience
that suffering
that
is exposure.
So, in other words, what I'm saying is that the PIC process should not be a one meeting day exercise. That's the lesson I wanted to bring out. Okay. So it should be a process of engagement, to and fro and back, and very informed process.
Okay.
Before people come up with agreements, so that the agreements that community will come up with the investors and their government is informed. That's the lesson I just wanted to.
Thank you. That deserves a clap. That one deserves a clap. I agree with you very, very much. Cyrus, give it to Mr. Cyrus here. Okay, I can see you back there. Thank you, Mrs. Beria.
Thank you very much, moderator. I think for me, part of the reason why we are having this high-level sort of a forum is to come up with solutions. And I want to believe that even the field exercise was part of the exercise so that we can be able to see real issues
practically
what is happening. We already know that the communities are already exposed. I think that's for a fact. And we are not going to be the last people to visit those communities.
Absolutely.
So there's need for us, even as we come to an end of this forum, what is it that we are going to help these communities? Because visitors will always go there. Of course, these communities will always, because of their generosity, will still give that information. So I think for me, I would want to propose that even as we come out of this forum, it is important that we put structures in place that are going to protect our communities. Because that's the only way that we can be seen to be supporting our communities.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, we shall still keep here talking.
And just
if we don't come up with a solution, I think
people will take advantage of them.
People will take advantage of them.
Absolutely.
And that's the reason why we are here, so that there's a lot of things that have already been done, but practically, is it happening? So why is it not happening?
Hassan.
I think this is why all of us need to put our heads together so that we come up with those concrete actions that we can be able to take initially as we look forward for bigger things as for the benefit sharing. Thank you.
Absolutely. Hassan, how do we take his suggestion to the next level? What Eric has talked about? Is there a process that NPI can use to pick a process rather than just a one-day come sign, like for instance, that lawyer who was giving you a hard time, I think you should have given enough time for her to understand the process and become an invested stakeholder rather than just being a roadblock.
Yeah, of course, engagement with the community is just very crucial. It's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because after all, we are doing these things on their behalf. But I would like to bring to talk about, there are also other considerations, because if it was just a matter of going there and creating awareness, staying there for a week, resources are also very limited, So ideally, we are supposed to take time to create awareness, go around, and it's not only, we are not only dealing with
Arabuko, yes, there are others.
There's so many other communities, Homa Bay, CIA, the ministry actually, in terms of funding,
limited.
is the most limited in the entire government system. The culture and sports, is the most.
So on that note, please vote for the person who's going to give more money to culture. And go on. I'm joking.
So but I think one thing the community can do, and all the participants here, is to advocate for more resources, especially to culture, because after all, our culture is everything. It's, as we say, the foundation of our nation.
Thank you, Bwana Hassan. Yes, limited resources. Waziri, then Bonawata, and sorry, Madam Berry at the back.
Thank you very much. I think all those contributions that we are making are very valid. We shouldn't, what do I call it? When you are oversensitive also, nothing will happen. It's good to express fears, but it's also good not to be at a point where we make communities super sensitive to the extent that they will not be able to exploit.
You get paralysis.
There is, yes. So let's not leave it there. What we need to do, and this is the responsibility of the county government and the Ministry of Culture through NPI. Is that we need to develop a curriculum. We need to. It's not sufficient. These communities that are very low-level engagements, probably they have seen us. It will take them another 3 or 4 months to see another team. And when communities are struggling with basic things, issues of PICs and MATs are
too
really
far up there,
siko mbali sana. So let's sit together and develop that curriculum so that by the time we know that they are ready to sign, we have done 3, 4, 5 trainings and engagements with critical infrastructure, as Margeria has said. We need to have representations. You can't engage an entire community, but it is good the way they have gone, that there is a CBO or something has been formed, or that they are in cooperatives, and the cooperatives have structures, so that the people who are making decisions on behalf of these communities have a higher level than the community, so that they can get into consent on behalf of those communities.
Okay.
And then just finally to our brothers, community. Community also has been very pushed to the extent that they don't trust counties.
Yeah,
Who is the county
I saw that.
working for? That lawyer
The
that
county
was
is there for
giving
you.
the challenge to the team of
Mr.
Hassan,
Kobe doesn't
they are
trust.
not working for themselves. County that has no structures of working for itself. Those individuals are facilitating the communities to be able to access. So county hata tukinegotiate, like the case for the Turkana oil, is just to say for the greater good of everybody, we can have a 10% because there is the host community.
Absolutely.
That should gain the bigger chunk of the resource. But what happens to, these are pastoralists. There is a community that ancestrally belongs to that Arabuko Sokoke that may not be resident there. So we need to have a percentage also assigned. So counties just facilitate the process. There is nothing that the county government owns as an institution. Thank you.
On that note, I'm going to close this discussion. I'm sorry, we have to close it because the people have come back and we need to time. What I would say is this: there needs to be a balance between fear of exploitation and moving forward. All right? The county has a role to play, the community has a role to play, and NPI, actually, you asked me, is a driver to make sure that the right thing happens. Do you want to have the closing word?
No, I just wanted to, I actually, if there are members from the county government, Madam Tulamo, you're one of them, I really want to urge the county, because the county has not put in any dollars for some of these programs.
No money?
No money. We're doing this on behalf of the county. The county, I'm not being critical, but it's not only Marsabit, but actually throughout the country.
Right.
NPI is just a small program within government. We work day and night to get resources. And I can tell you, we have been felt from Marsabit to Siaya, to Bungoma, to Arabuko, Sokoke, Kilifi, Kwale. I mean, it's time really, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Counties need to cough up some money.
Okay.
And support the ministries of culture.
You should have a communicate between the two of you, government to government. Now, the three hands up, and we're bad on time, eh? What do you want? You go with one word? Okay, so. Ladies first, then the two gentlemen over here. Please, Mrs. Beria, go ahead. Dr. Beria.
Thank you so much, moderator.
A bit louder.
Asante sana, moderator, for the debate that is going on. We like the conversation. But I want to add that we have really trained these people through NPI. Actually, we have trained Kilifi 3 times.
Okay.
Even one-on-one on role modeling, how not to disclose. Yesterday was the saddest moment of my life.
Why?
I tried to complain. I could only complain to individuals. What are you doing? We have trained you. And then when I went, Kabaka had the final response to my sadness. I told him, no, Kabaka, we have been training. What is it? What is happening? You know what he told me? You have not trained enough. So pull up your socks. Anyway, I think we need to do that. Thank you.
I think Eric hit the nail on the head. There needs to be, it has to be immersive until the people who you're talking to understand what they're talking about. It's a journey. It's a journey. It cannot be instant. No, sorry, John. Oh, Eric, John. I'm sorry, John. I keep calling you Eric. John. Ebenyo? Yeah, Ebenyo. But Dr. Wata?
Okay, me what I can say, this is what has been going on before even...
Time immemorial.
Time immemorial. Because since 2 years ago is when we started knowing about NPI. But most of our resources in terms of herbal medicine have been taken away. Because I have people who are my senior in this field. There were NGOs that used to come in our area. They showcase their medicine. Only later to realize after 5 years, they are in the chemistry. A practical example is Senna. Senna is a laxative. If you go to chemistry, you'll find it there. But it originates from Siaya. There's one called Dr. Obundo Mumbu. He has been complaining up to date that he was the one who came up with the Senna, and he has never benefited up to date.
Yes.
Then what I can urge is the responsibility lies with the county government and the community. like the best thing that they could have done yesterday is to prepare the herbs in form of powder. Because if you tell somebody the name in powder but he doesn't know what we have added inside there, it is very difficult for somebody to go with it away. Then when it comes to Mutuli-Tuli, I came to realize there are now two versions of Mutuli-Tuli. The one from this area is small seeds, but from our area, at least they have big seeds.
Big seeds. By the way, we don't have taken from what you've talked about. You've heard the saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So the communities need to be smarter now. And you see, the guy was fooled about that laxative. Yeah. Next time, he needs to be smarter, not to be fooled again.
Like the best thing that they could have done yesterday, they could have turned the Mutuli-Tuli in form of powder. So then, even if they could be showing us this is Mutuli-Tuli in form of powder,
then we would know what it is.
Yeah.
Ah, you hide it from us. That's a very good point, by the way. Yeah?
Okay,
that's a very good point. Finally, that's the last one. And please be brief. Oh, madam. Not because you're a lady, that's the only reason I'm
Okay, thank you very much.
At the time,
in addition to what has been said.
What's your name, sir, by the way?
I'm Yator Kiptum from Sengwer community.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm saying in addition to what has been said, what actually we saw yesterday, there's a lot of excitement, emotions were high positively, and there are a lot of dangers and fears. And I want to make a suggestion, given the fact that, people are now seeing that they are going to benefit from the knowledge and the resources. So I'm feeling that there is need actually to start thinking or developing a grievance redress mechanism. Because with time there will be a
what mechanism?
Grievance redress mechanism.
Oh, grievance mechanism, okay.
Yeah, and as I finish, I think it is very important that those who are working around that project, there is need to protect the intellectual property rights.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
And that's why Kipi is here. Thank you very much. Please give us a round of applause. That was very well said. And I think, Hassan, you will tell Dr. Taracha what we've talked about and how the whole concept. I think you just... Someone was taking notes. I don't think anybody was taking notes for us for that session. I don't think anybody was. So, ladies and gentlemen, before tea, I would like to invite Professor Nyamasio and Dr. Catherine Bunyasi, well done, to take us through the next session, which is, of course, looking at sort of recommendations and way forward. I hand over to you two, lady and gentlemen. Please give them a round of applause as they come up. You're the only one clapping. Please clap for them. Thank you. Appreciate it. Karibu.
Is there a tea break?
As they get ready, just a quick reminder, guys, those of you that are going with SGR 3 p.m., you need to be at the reception at 12:30 so that we can be able to leave at 12:40. Okay, SGR 3 p.m., the transfer is going to be at 12:40, but be there at 12:30 so that you can get into the bus and they go. How many are you? Anybody here who's going with the 3 p.m. SGR? Anybody here? 3 p.m. SGR today? I think everybody's tomorrow morning SGR. Yeah? Most people are tomorrow morning. So, yeah, all right, so thank you. That is a null and void. Okay, guys, of flights, 1650, which is 4:50, 2 p.m. transfer from the reception. The guys of 6:50, which is 1850, 3:30 p.m. Will be the van, the NPI van will be leaving the reception. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I see we are a bit tired. I don't know. We've had a very engaging week, and I think a lot of us in the van yesterday were asleep, me included, and I felt like I was on a journey coming from up country. So we have come to the tail end, and before we do that, we still want to engage each other on recommendations and way forward from this session. Remember, We had a lot of people talking about let this not be a talk shop, or just a day, a week we came to spend in Mombasa. We want to now finally put our, last thoughts and last comments to what we have done. We want to look at getting that thought or comment that you felt you had forgotten. There are those who wish, at night you say, I thought about this and I wish I had said it. That's what we are looking for. So we are going to go through recommendations that we had come up with from this forum on each thematic area. And we are going to project these recommendations, and feel free to add, and I underline the word add, so that we don't again go back to repeating ourselves too much, but we want to enrich our recommendations so that we are able to implement them in that way that we have been talking about the whole week. Remember, we are a power group. We are not a group that has come here just for leisure and just to look, handsome and pretty. We want to do things and get them done. We want to say things and get them done. So if Secretariat is ready, I'm waiting for you to project the first thematic area. And I have Professor Nyamasio with me, and together we are going to take you through this session. So, Professor Nyamasio, I think you'll go first and come up to take us through the recommendations. Thank you. You can clap for me. Put them up.
Okay, good morning once again. Now what you do, you go through the recommendations and add what you think is missing or strengthen what you think is weak. And we give you how many minutes for that? We'll give you 3-4 minutes to go through, draft your recommendation, and then pass it to us. Please focus on the recommendations only.
Just before we continue, there will be no live streaming of this event, and we also expect no recordings. No recording.